Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and you know what man, this PewDiePie fella keeps shocking me away. Now 5 days ago, PewDiePie made this video called My $1 Trillion Project is finally out. Now PewDiePie has been a huge guy for Linux, like local AI stuff, like self-hosting, privacy. You know, it's kind of crazy to see that basically one of the largest channels on YouTube still is a privacy advocate, because ladies and gentlemen, we live in a day and age where big companies want to goat see you up, read everything about you, and store it on their servers. It's some creepy shit. But what if you can use modern day technology without modern day creepy spying on you? So in this case, ladies and gentlemen, I actually wanted to whip out PewDiePie's kind of tool over here. He made a product called Odysseus. Now, a lot of these online platforms have said that PewDiePie basically makes free ChatGPT. And I kind of want to bring you back over here, ladies and gentlemen. PewDiePie makes an actual AI workspace. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to give you a quick understanding, what happens when you go to a site like ChatGPT, for instance, right? So ChatGPT, if I just open it up, ladies and gentlemen, is a pretty simple website. It's a chatbot. Now, if you sign into ChatGPT and have an account, what you can do is make images, deep research, do all of this stuff, and it builds memories and everything on you, right? Every time you give information to ChatGPT and hit enter, it stores a little bit of information on you. It builds a memory on top of you. What if you could have ChatGPT and just have it locally in your own system? Everything up to you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what PewDiePie built right here, called Odysseus. Your own AI workspace running on your hardware. Odysseus is a self-hosted interface for talking to language models, chat, autonomous agents, tools, models, yada, yada, yada. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you can plug in an API if you want. I mean, if you just want to get rid of the whole notion of fucking privacy, go ahead, do that. So, you know, a lot of people kind of brought this up to me, and I was like, of course I'm going to make a video on it. I'm all about fucking self-hosting shit, local stuff these days. I believe hosting your own stuff is important, and this is kind of like a precursor, I'll say, to a video that people have been asking me kind of to make, where, you know, people are like, what is your privacy? Because I live in this almost 100% privacy bubble where I don't compromise and give up my stuff, but I enjoy modern technologies. And I guess a lot of it is, you know, that it's a combination of a lot of things that I kind of have to discuss, but this is a huge project that PewDiePie sort of has been building for over, I think, like a year now. And of course, it's a project that contains you the ability to chat, to tool around, to research, to do all this shit. So ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, how do you get this stuff working? So here he shows you how to get started and basically use this one simple line. So to give you an idea, I'm going to run this for you guys really quickly. I'm going to show you guys how to get this stuff started. It's a pretty popular project with over 180 people contributing to it. PewDiePie himself, a bunch of these people I don't know, Claude. So it's a very AI slop experience. In the last few days, this has sort of been up. It's got 921 people committing to it. It's a pretty active fucking project. For hours, people have been posting and changing things. It really is kind of the ethos of open source, where people just have a project and keep contributing to that shit. So anyways, to give you an idea of how to get this shit started, all things aside, you can follow this quick start guide. You can use things like Docker. You can use your native Linux and Mac OS. If you got a MacBook with Apple Silicon, you can fire it up there. But I'm actually going to start this up on my local system. So it's actually quite simple to get this going. Basically, all you have to do is clone Odysseus to your actual system. Now, assuming you're underneath Linux, that's where I'm kind of going to show it to you. I am a Linux guy, but Docker is something that runs across Mac, Windows, and Linux. So kind of follow the instructions, you know, as they pertain to you. But even if you have Docker for Windows and Mac, they tend to have a terminal built in. But so over here, what we're going to do is we're going to clone the actual repository. So github.com, PewDiePie, Odysseus, and then we're going to go into Odysseus as a project. So right over here, we've cloned it. We're in Odysseus. We have the whole project downloaded right here. So now you can actually make explicit defaults, which you probably should, but honestly, all you have to really do is do docker compose up d build. So again, it's as simple as writing this shit in the spooky, scary terminal. And just building it. Now, I actually built this ahead of time because, you know, I wanted to make sure this worked for the video, but you get the idea. Ultimately, I also went a little extra step. I had a local AI agent build this and run this for me. So I went full degenerate in this case. So anyways, we're gonna actually fire this one up over here, and you can see that it's actually firing up not just Odysseus, but you can see it fires up things like CRX and G, it fires up basically all the tools that you will need to get things kind of functioning and working. So I'm actually going to detach this, meaning that it's going to run in the background on my computer, as you can see right over here, right? It's actually up, it's active, and it's serving. So anywhere in my computer, anywhere in my house, I can actually launch Odysseus through a web browser, whether it be on my phone, whether it be on that computer back there, this computer, any computer. And how do you do that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you go to your actual local host, which is 127, and you type in :7000 for the port. So it's as simple as going to localhost, and again, 7000. Right over here, you can see that I fired up Odysseus. And actually over here, I did do one test and talk to the actual bot. So we're gonna go to new chat really quickly, and we're gonna connect a model into PewDiePie's system, or his workspace. So you can see the little gear in the bottom left. You can actually connect your local models, whether they be running on your system or something connected to some cloud service you rent, right? But we don't rent fucking hardware in this household. We're just gonna run that shit locally here. So the way that we kind of get this going is that ultimately we need to download certain models to our system. So to show you something really simple over here, I'm gonna go to LM Studio, which is a program that you can download. It's super easy to download this. It's got a whole user interface. I've talked about it before, but basically the idea over here, ladies and gentlemen, is I am going to basically connect to the actual LM Studio's interface. And inside this interface, you can see on the left-hand side, there is a model search system. So over here, you can download a lot of these models off the internet. So whether they be Gemma, for instance, whether they be Qwen, whether they be GLM, it's really up to you to download whatever model you feel can run on your system. So in this case, I actually have a model called Quopus, which is basically Qwen, but sort of dealt with the distilled, stolen information from one of the largest frontier AIs, Claude, and basically it kind of is a jerry-rigged local AI version of that. So going to the left-hand side, you can see in the Developer tab for LM Studio, all I have to do is load the model on my system. So here I'm going to click Quopus, I'm going to enable that, and of course you need a certain amount of VRAM, as you can see up here. I'm going to be flooding 22.5 gigs of VRAM with about 67,000 or about 68,000 tokens worth of context. The more context you need, the more context you want to put in, the higher your VRAM account requirements are going to go. It's really this part of AI that if you deal with less context, like if I walk in with literally the default of 4,026, it's not going to be a fun situation. So you kind of crank this up almost as high as you really can, because ultimately the more context you have, the more the AI has in its memory to be able to, parse through, to give you relevant responses, rather than cutting off unnecessarily and just, sort of ending its discussion right there. So we're going to load that model over here. You can see that it's firing up, it's saturating on my system. And, provided it doesn't run out of memory and crash, it should actually just load. So you can see that the AI has loaded up, it's ready to go, it's bam bam, everything is done here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to, PewDiePie's whole AI tool, I'm gonna click on the gears right down over here, and I'm basically gonna add the server to the actual AI. So when you go back to LM Studio, you wanna launch that server, and inside server settings, or actually up here, you can see that the IP address it's given is, in this case, 192.168, basically my local address and the port. So basically, click the little copy button, go back over here, paste that shit in, probably want to add in a /v1, and you can click the test, and as long as it says online found 6 models, just add that to the mix. So now that everything has kind of been done over here, you can close that shit out, and you can see that I've actually got a whole bunch of models right over here. So I'm just going to reload once more. I'm going to go to new chat, and I'm actually going to highlight the model that I have loaded, which is this Quopus 3.527 billion. So now that I've connected into it, there's multiple options that I have. I got agent mode, I've got chat, and I have the ability to search on the fucking internet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like, all right, can you look up everything you can about the game, what is it? Final Fantasy Rebirth. And tell me about it. So basically, the reason I'm giving it this prompt is I wanted to search online with the built-in searching like CRX and G, and here it's actually pulled results. And again, it's thinking what to do. It's got search results over here. It's going to be looking through this information, and it's going to be parsing it for me. So you can see right over here, based on your search results, you can see that FF7 Rebirth is a second installment in a planned 3-part series, yada, yada, yada. So this is the kind of information that it provides, and ultimately it did so really quickly. And then within literally 30 seconds, it gave me a response that I would say is kind of reflective of something like, I don't know, fucking ChatGPT. Tell me all the characters in the party for the game. So again, I wanted to basically look further into the internet. I wanted to take the context it already has, and I wanted to parse that shit together to give me an actual reasonable understanding. So you can see it's thinking right over here, and it's putting things together. You can see that it actually searched up, and it found things like, you know, Super Mario Party. So actually allow me to scroll up a little bit. It won't let me do that. Okay, all right, I think it's got to finish. I think it's got to finish. So you can see it's actually like kind of reasoning over there too. We'll actually look through the reasoning, but yeah, basically at the end of the day, what PewDiePie sort of made is effectively ChatGPT, or really any of these online AI search tools, and basically has made a free local hosted version of it. The benefit of this, and why this is a good project, is that, you know, ultimately the end, every time you use ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any of these services where you're logged in, you send your information over to their servers, and they absolutely use it to train their own models, and they also build memories of you. They build entire creepy profiles of what you are as a person. So you can see right over here for the answer that it took about 1 minute, it gave me 5 sources, and a lot of these sources were actually kind of dog shit. But you can see that it did basically get the actual information out. And, you know, one of the things about modern AI tools is that you probably do use AI to make your internet web searches. At the end of the day, I think it's a good use case, but ultimately, I don't think everybody should just be going to like ChatGPT, putting in whatever the fuck they want and getting their searches out of it. Obviously, at the end of the day, you still have to validate every single fucking search tool right here. But one of the things that I kind of noticed on this when I was kind of experimenting with this tool was it's not a perfect tool. It's not a perfect search engine, right? So ultimately, last night, when I was kind of playing around with, you know, this search engine tool or this chat, I asked it about Marathon, you know, not the new game, but actually the older trilogy. And unfortunately, I kind of noticed certain issues with this chatbot where it seems like the information that it was pulling, it wasn't able to really parse that correctly. There was a lot of things where I kind of asked it to sort of self-correct. I sort of mentioned certain characters, and you can see that it thinks, it tries to fact-check, but ultimately, unfortunately, it fails to get certain, you know, aspects right. So for instance, when I ask it about the original, like, Marathon trilogy, it brings in random characters, like the Sphit, which is not an artificial intelligence, it's actually a race of people in the original game, but the actual AI kind of hallucinates that and gives me the wrong information. Which is, again, one of those big reasons why you don't fucking use any chatbot as, like, you know, 100% factual. You have to verify every single fucking thing you look up. However, when I went to this LM Studio and connected my local search engine, my CRXNG, which you can access right here on my actual, like, home network. Again, I have everything self-hosted. I don't fucking use Google, might as well just use my own search engine right here. And when I asked my local system, it actually did a far better job of researching this entire case. There was far less hallucinations. The actual research that it did actually made more sense. Now, to go back to the Odysseus chat, if I actually see exactly what it was looking up, which was this Final Fantasy question, right? If I copy this exact same prompt and actually feed it, same model, same everything, into this tool right here, I'm gonna search, and it's going to do basically what PewDiePie's tool is doing, except in certain cases, maybe a little bit better. So you can see right over here, my own local model is doing the searches. It's checking online, it's reading web pages, it's parsing the information, and it'll provide me kind of a different-ish result. So I feel like the actual responses that I'm kind of getting from LM Studio are actually substantially more detailed and more relevant to the actual search that I made compared to like PewDiePie's tool right here. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the actual like methodologies and the tooling that is happening on LM Studio is a bit better in this case compared to like PewDiePie's Odysseus tool. So PewDiePie's tool also has a whole bunch of other things. Basically, it seems like PewDiePie's kind of taken all the favorite thing, all the cool things that he's found in all the other big AI tools out there and has sort of made local versions of them, right? So for instance, that memory that I was talking about earlier, this has the ability to keep building memories and skills the more you use this actual tool. And of course, if you have memories from other AIs, you can just download them and import them into this tool right here. So of course, ultimately too, there's also calendar supports, there's also comparisons and stuff, so you can compare models. There's Cookbook, which again, I think is a pretty cool tool that lets you kind of understand the actual models that you can download and install and serve into your system. That I think is cool. I tried using the deep research tool that was available, but it actually crashed on a local model for me. And what's interesting is I actually do kind of have the same trajectory as PewDiePie in this kind of manner where I really like the deep research tools that a lot of these big AI models have, but you can only use them a few times every month before you're locked out because they're so computationally expensive. Now, I actually did build a local deep research tool for myself, and I have it running in its own application, and I actually quite enjoy this tool. Like, I use it a few times to do like, some research and source gathering for me, and it does a pretty damn decent job in a lot of cases. Now, ultimately, there's also gallery tools for editing things around, so I think a lot of this shit is genuinely interesting. I feel like what PewDiePie has sort of made over here is the ability for you to use a lot of these like online, sort of ChatGPT-like abilities completely locally. And I think that is an interesting like story to go down. Is it perfect? Obviously not. But I think for, somebody like PewDiePie, who I don't think is somebody that really develops software or has ever really done it, I think it's an impressive project to go down, even if it seems like a lot of it might be fucking vibe coded. I'll give you another example of a tool that I have working in the background. So for instance, taxes every year, something that annoys me, and I think it annoys most people, is keeping track of all of your receipts and documents and invoices. So, what I have done is I built a local AI model, and I'm not really ready to release this or even really show it, but generally speaking, I just text my local AI bot a receipt, an invoice, and it uses a mixture of models, vision models, reasoning models, to look at what I sent it, like an invoice, reads it, categorizes it, and, puts it in a spreadsheet, and basically, puts it in an entire list that at the end of the year, I can, basically download, send over to the accountant, and, they can basically do what they need to. It's just a way for me to keep track, super duper easy. It's just wild that we can live in a world where you can just text a bot that you host that kind of information, and it just, kind of knows what to do. Is it perfect? No. But I would say that, we're reaching a point where, at least locally, it's about 95% as good as it's going to get. And that is pretty fucking impressive. Now, what PewDiePie has kind of done is not so different from something like Open Web UI, which is something that I've already shown plenty of times on my channel. And again, to go over here, I can basically talk to this bot, and it can research things for me. A lot of the tools that PewDiePie has sort of built in are kind of present in things like this as well, too. For instance, even the memory that we saw earlier is something that exists in tools like this. Web searches, this is kind of what I do when I want to use any form of AI without going to these big frontier services, because again, I want the AI bubble to actually pop so shit gets more affordable for people, and I want to be able to use this technology in a safe way. And PewDiePie's project is kind of just reflective of that, right? Using this technology in a way that you control and you host. I think it's an impressive project, and ultimately kudos to the fucking guy. It's a good thing that he's done. Now again, honestly, like the thing about this kind of project too is like, a lot of people have said that it's fucking vibe slop, like AI slop coded stuff. And to an extent, I don't disagree. Like obviously this tool was built by somebody that doesn't understand or has not really coded anything like before this. So yeah, it's true that I think PewDiePie really used a lot of, again, LLMs to basically work his way through and make this project, which is why it's not perfect, right? There's obviously a lot of issues in this project too. And you can see that, literally, even the community that's talking about this, the project is pure horror. 800 pull requests of LLM slop, yet barely any improvement. It's interesting how people are like, I'm making like 8 times more lines of code, but how many of those are actually good? And the issues, there's talk about architectural flows. You've got even more multi-thousand word LLM essays. The project needs to be closed and locked down while someone gets the data structure in order. Don't use an ORM, use SQLite directly, merge everything that is privacy relevant. So these are people that know, what they're looking at, they know how to code, and they're giving genuine advice that isn't just throwing this into another LLM and telling it improve the project. Somebody says it right, the code base is literally just AI vibe slop. And to an extent, there has been issues regarding the security of, again, PewDiePie's tools as well too. Because again, with AI slop situations, there are problems where, AI tends to create a lot of security issues. So if you do use this, be very mindful of that situation. And again, as always, with any AI project, there's always crypto scammers that are out there putting in pump fund recommendations and telling people to put in tokens on the blockchain just so they can make money off of somebody else's free and open source project. Do not jump into this, do not enable it, just call it out and laugh. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, honestly speaking, I will say this, I do think that, again, it's an impressive project, and ultimately, at the end of the day, PewDiePie did release effectively a set of features that companies like ChatGPT have effectively kept in their back pocket for years now, right? Again, I feel like for a lot of people, nobody really knows that it's actually easy to host your own AI stuff. It's actually really easy to host your own internet services. You may not like a lot of Google search stuff. You may not like the direction things are headed, but that doesn't mean that you just have to give up. There's a lot of tools that you can use at any point that'll give you a lot of what big tech wants to, or used to actually offer, entirely for free, entirely self-hosted, and entirely better. PewDiePie's tool is not revolutionary in that it hasn't happened before. I've shown you examples in this video of tools that are actually better and have come before, but it does show you a person who is, sort of so fed up with the way the world has gone that he's built his own project. And, for what it's worth, it's pretty damn decent as an interesting springboard for people to experiment with and then move on to other big, larger projects. So ladies and gentlemen, yeah, it's cool. I actually think it's fucking awesome. And ultimately, yeah, I wanted to kind of look at it. I kind of wanted to cover into it. Will I be the person that uses it? No. I have my own tools and my own workflows. But I think if you're somebody that wants to explore this kind of shit, maybe you want to check it out. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it, I am out.